There's got to be some weird monsters as well. Can you run me through some of your favorite monsters? I have plenty. It's a really cool book of monsters.
There's so much in there. I'm always a fan of Modrons. There's new hierarch Modrons. I absolutely love those guys. Fiends are always fantastic. So we've got new Demodans in there. Gardenals from the Beastlands. We have like the horse-like Equinel and the adorable mouse-like Mustaval. But wildly, something that I would have never expected to say is one of my favorites in there is the Romani. And the Romani in the past were always these are creatures that live in the Outlands. They're mysterious, true neutral beings, in the same way that a devil is like made out of lawful evil, or angels are like pure goodness. The Romani are true neutrality, which is sort of a hard thing to, like, okay, so what do they do? So they don't do anything? Rather, we took the reverse on that and spun them in the direction that they are constantly maintaining the balance. And on one day, they might be trying to aid the forces of good. On the other day, they might be increasing chaos, whatever they need to do to make sure that the Outlands remains philosophically neutral.
They're very unique looking. Their armor's more incorporated into their body. Their body is composed of unnatural sort of balance. Pieces kind of float together. I really love the visual update. I think players are going to really dig in when they see the art for them, and I think they're going to really enjoy running them.
So tell me, so the Mimirs certainly are an echo of Mort.
Mimir, so a Mimir...
They are different things.
Yeah, they are, and
but they're evocative.
Yes, and Mort bemoans being seen as Mimir or mistaken for one at different times. So Mimir is kind of like this, it's this encyclopedic skull.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, your dungeon master is your Mimir. You have queried your dungeon master before, maybe even about the planes, and said, wait, did you say Elysium? What even is that? And your dungeon master flips through the dungeon master guide, maybe reads something real fast, or they know it already, and they spout some sort of quick nonsense. That's kind of what your Mimir is going to do. It is this expert on the planes and on things that it's seen. A good comparison might be a Pokedex. This Mimir is this item that can report. Mort is a floating skull. He is undead. He has many quips and funny things to say about the planes, but if you use him as a Mimir, you might get bit. He's quite a biter, I've been told.
There are also flies.
There are sunflies, which are definitely inspired by... There have been sunflies in the past. Video games like Planescape Torment had a little creature called Limlims that we wanted to make sure got into this as well. So we've rolled all those into sunflies, which are essentially these little planar vermin that, depending on what planar influences inspire them, it changes their colors, but then also the sort of toxin that they carry.
Cranium rats first showed up in Planescape, correct?
I believe so. I can't say that with 100% surety,
Gotcha.
but they've always been such a part of Sigil, where they're these little intelligent rats that the more of them get together, the more they start having agendas. And we even added a little element to them where the cranium rats of Sigil, somebody can actually scoop up one of these guys and have them share their thoughts to effectively use the cranium rats to communicate.
Oh, wow. So like leave a message with a cranium rat and then send it to someone?
Yeah.
That's really disturbing.
Yeah.
I love it.
A player could cast Sending on their own,
Yeah.
but for people, the fighters and barbarians and who don't have such a spell,
Yeah.
it's really fun. Like, I gotta find a rat. You guys see any rats?
That's perfect. Or can I borrow your rat?
Yeah, are you done with that?
There's also like a specific type of cranium rat swarm also in here, where
Yes.
there's some art of them like in a trench coat, basically, is what I'm looking at. Right?
That's exactly right, because as soon as you get that many cranium rats together, they start to become more conscious, more aware, and certainly more aware of their state of undress, more interested in fashion, all of the things that you would expect that a rat that has suddenly achieved consciousness and a level of neuroticism would gain.
And this book that covers all the monsters, this is Mort's Planar Parade.
Yes.
So this has Mort giving his commentary on Planescape
Yes.
throughout, which is really fun.
Yes.
How do you... Such a specific voice from the video game and everything else.
So Mort is a fantastic character. Many folks will remember him from being one of the standout NPC allies from Planescape Torment, the video game from back in the 90s. And Mort's a floating skull. And he's snarky, and he's got this nasal voice to him, and he's such a distinctive character. He tags along with your character in that game, and he's just cracks wise the whole time and has a comment about everything. We've had so many reliable narrators. It seemed like such a good time, particularly with the Planes, where anything could be possible, to have a character like Mort who's purportedly been everywhere, seen everything, done everything, give his commentary on creatures from across the planes. And all of it's good advice that's 100% accurate.
We also have kind of a fan favorite of, we've got some new Modrons.
These Modrons are ones that, like in the Monster Manual, we wanted to honor what was there in the past. And what was there in the past was weird anatomies.
And this is just as weird.
Yeah. Tripod legs,
Yeah.
with spherical bodies,
Yeah.
with a big ol' eye, big ol' lips, and a big ol' mouth. I don't know what the inspiration was when they were originally drawn in like first.
Might come from a
edition,
lot of
but
places.
It
Yeah.
could. It was a product of its time, maybe.
It was product of its era.
Yeah.
Probably.
But that's
Yeah.
kind of what makes them a little endearing.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that those facets are still there, while updating other things, like the things that they can do in the game, the world of your game, right?
There's also guidance in the book about how the planes can actually affect monsters.
Yes.
Like monsters from that you are familiar with in the Monster Manual and other sources, but there's guidance like how to make them more planar. Like
Yes.
they were affected by the plane that they exist in.
Yes, so the earliest portions of Mort's Planar Parade goes into two different ways that you can make any monster feel more like a being of the planes. One is a host of new traits that you can apply to any monster, and the traits are each aligned with one of the various outer planes. So, if you want to make a unicorn feels like it comes from the abyss, or you want to have a dragon that feels like it's been influenced by the screaming infinities of pandemonium, here's just little tweaks you can make to these creatures, along with any aesthetic tweaks that you might want to make them feel all of a sudden that it's not just, oh, this isn't just a normal unicorn or a normal monster or whatever have you. This is something that has been warped, twisted, born on, exists on these wild planes of existence.
You can take these traits. They're pretty easy to give to any monster. You don't have to do any math. They don't impact the creature's challenge rating. And so they really are designed to be just kind of drag and drop into any creature's stat block. So in that way, it kind of multiplies every stat block you already have. So if you have monsters of the multiverse, or you have just your monster manual, you can take these traits and spice up your character or your monsters as the characters explore, portals or areas or things bordering these planes.
In addition to that, we also have a host of just suggestions for how you might alter creatures a little bit, whether aesthetically or otherwise, to make them feel like they've been influenced by the planes. So if you have monsters that are in the Outlands and you want to have encounters with them, but you want them to feel like they've existed on the Outlands, and maybe they have a little bit of these outer planes energy in them, whether it's like, the chaotic realm of Isgard, or if it's someplace more benevolent like Bitopia. What can you do to get those ideas across? We have a host of tables and suggestions and options to encourage that.
One of the most important things to this city of Sigil is going to be each of the stat blocks for the factions. So 12 ascendant factions, you get 12 roles essentially in the factions. Now, these are not the base role of a faction member. These are kind of specialized, exceptional roles within. So you have things like the Fraternity of Order Lawbender. The Fraternity of Order is this kind of faction centered around the rules of the multiverse, the laws. And this is a person who has found a loophole in the laws of the multiverse in such a way that they can, their magic can allow them to teleport. They can force you to re-roll things because of this loophole. And then you have other things like one of the newer factions, the Hands of Havoc, this kind of chaotic, kind of burn it down faction, has this role called a fire starter. And you can imagine they're very good at starting fires. And then, of course, I think my favorite creature in the whole book is the Time Dragon. Because it's D&D, you got to have a dragon in there. But the idea of, this creature that is beyond age, that can breathe the time stream through you, it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, you fight a red dragon, that's pretty cool. You're lit on fire, that's awful. But if you start to age really fast, that's pretty terrifying.
It's pretty terrifying. It can also send you through time.
Yeah.
If it wants.
Their existence can be a big center point in a campaign.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta find the ancient time dragon.
Yeah.
Their ability is that they can exhale this sort of time manipulating energy. The DM could narrate it as like magically aging them to a point that even for characters that are generally not affected by age, this is a sort of magical sort of effect. So, their ability to attack is weakened, their ability to harm is weakened.
Yeah.
They can slow other creatures, especially in their lair, both in speed and maybe with the spell. They're a big beastie. They have a lot of stat blocks to cover their age ranges, and they offer a really unique sort of ability that can really be used narratively by a DM however they want.
What do you find the most fun about creating the monsters for Planescape?
It's striking that balance between what was done in the past and what you can do in a new, interpretation in a new system.
Yeah.
A lot of things that were, said or done in previous editions just aren't really things that either are used anymore or have as much weight.
Yeah.
But that still gives you a chance to refresh them in a way that can still work. A lot of research for older creatures and capturing the flavor of the factions that make up Sigil. And I think that will give players a good sense of nostalgia and delight. And for players who haven't really experienced, if you started playing this game in 5th edition, this is your first way to get involved and experience Planescape and these monsters, you'll get a sense of what it was like before, and if there's a player that did sort of have that experience with them in previous editions, they'll be able to kind of be like, yeah, it was like that. And, this specific era thing Or they'll get to go, yeah, that's what a nanodrone looked like.
Yeah.
They're just as weird then as they are now.